So the stages of that.
So just turn that off. All right.
Hello? No,
Yeah, you can't get rid of it entirely. Yeah.
Should I leave?
Yeah, just leave.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
so now
this was probably picking up.
Maybe. Anyways,
yeah.
So we're here at Fancon 2024. We're
Welcome.
Having a great time. Welcome to
welcome.
Try that again. We had a good practice. We had a good practice run.
Oh no, a great time. I'm sure you guys all saw some dead air going on.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus will tell you I'm notoriously not a take two person. We have to do it in one take.
You can't repeat it. You can't.
I'll tell you what. We'll talk about Fancon at the end.
Yeah.
Speak of Matt, he's there.
Hello.
Let people know the things happening now. If you did, that's great. Thank you very much. All right. So, do we have a topic to discuss today?
I was thinking about gatekeeping, but then as I saw what was going on, I kind of want to just talk about fandom and why we're doing this, and what brings everybody here to the table and what the passions are everywhere. Because right now we have cosplayers, LARPers, we have wrestlers, Star Wars fans, Marvel fans. It's like fandom is such a big umbrella, and the site's called Talk Nerdy to Me. So this is exactly what we should be talking about. A little bit of everything,
Absolutely.
Well, isn't it? I find the irony of we talk about nerdy stuff all the time between, Talk Nerdy to Me and At the Counter. It's what we do. Yep. And it's more or less just because we couldn't get anybody to listen to us live, so we had to put it on the internet so somebody would care.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Right? And that's the lead-in for At the Counter for years. These are just the conversations we've been having anyway.
Yep.
Right?
And
so we just want to tie you into it.
And where are we even having them?
At the counter.
That is their opening.
But it's really such a great irony that what we're doing falls in the podcast that we're doing falls under that umbrella as well. Is we've taken something we're passionate about and we've turned it into something we can do and share with people.
Yeah.
Right. And get feedback as well, which is insane. The first time we had somebody come up to us and say, "Hey, I heard that. This is what I think about what you're talking about." Now we're small. It doesn't happen a ton, but we've had input from some of our friends who listen to it too. And to be able to get that feedback is crazy.
I was taken back the first time it happened to me. It was my neighbor, and he's like, "You guys were talking about X," and I can't remember exactly what he said. I was like, "I completely disagree with you." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like you were actually listening. Okay, cool. We can talk about this.
Right? Well, Christian and I have actually done 3-4 times in the window of the store. We set up the bed desk, cool. And we're literally in the window
4 times now.
4 times, usually during Winterfest and Summerfest.
Sure.
In Ridgeway.
Yeah, we've got our festivals in town.
And I put a little speaker outside so they can see us talking, interact, and we asked for the topic suggestion, and somebody gave us pickles, and we did 45 minutes on pickles. We could talk about anything. We stepped
out of the window after doing that, and one of the vendors who was in the store that day, who's one of our vendors here, Shay, who's doing all the crocheting stuff, she had us step out of the window. As we're stepping out, she says, "I cannot believe you guys went 45 minutes
That's fantastic.
On pickles," because some kid had just made a smart mouth remark thinking, "Oh yeah, this would be hilarious."
I think it's because
we went, "Okay."
I think it's because she had crochet pickles,
right? Well, that was it.
I think she had crochet pickles.
And so they were thinking like, okay, they'll get 10 minutes of material out of this. Like, oh no.
Come on in, folks. You're allowed to sit and enjoy.
Don't be shy.
So
plenty of seating.
If we're talking about fandom, the roots of fandom start way back with Star Trek.
I would agree.
All of this came out of Star Trek.
Yeah.
The show only went 2 seasons.
Which is crazy.
It didn't have.
It doesn't add that. Yeah, that fact alone seems really surreal. Right.
Yeah.
And the only reason we have Star Trek and any of this is completely thanks to Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
Tell us more.
Lucille Ball
Explain that.
fought for Star Trek. It was through Desilu Studios.
No way.
And she believed in it so much that they shot the pilot. The producer, the television studio went, I don't really like it. I don't think it's quite
I don't
right.
see it. They
She
don't get
took it away, reshot a second pilot, and then put it out. And the second pilot is it the cage? The pilot's not the cage.
The second pilot was the cage, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay. So the second pilot's the cage, where they use clips from the unused pilot in the pilot.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So that they could tie it all together. And she fought and fought and fought for Gene's vision because she believed in it.
Well, and Gene had a bit of a hard time selling in the first place because Gene Roddenberry's not Hollywood.
Right.
He was a cop.
He's a New York cop.
I thought he was an LA cop.
I thought he was New York. But anyways,
Either way, he was a beat cop.
Biggie
Yeah.
Tupac, what's the difference?
Right? Yeah. And so he was a cop who just had an idea of what this science fiction thing could be and said, okay, let's write a thing, see if we can.
Well, it's not just that.
Right?
He had a vision of a utopian future.
Yeah,
and he
that
wanted
is the
to
story
do
of Star
that.
Trek. I agree.
And they fought and fought and fought against him to put more sex and violence in it, which is why you see more things being shoved into the show as it goes along. And then when it canceled, fans of the show started to gather together to talk about how much they love the show. This is before PVRs, before downloads. They would get bootleg copies, whatever they could find. They talked to the studio, and they started going in small little groups. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it started popping up all over the country. And they went, maybe we have something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they restarted it with the next gen.
Well, and
they had the movies
first
too,
stage,
They had the
yeah.
movies first, but here's the thing. The first movie nearly killed Star Trek entirely.
And
Really?
reasonably so. I mean,
Well, no, but
no
here's the
offense to
thing.
the franchise, but it was not one of the best things that on
Well,
film, even in 19.
here's what happened.
In the time it was made.
Gene was given carte blanche to do it his way. And that's why there's nothing really happening in it. He wanted this really intense, hurtsy thing that the 20-minute Spock going into V'ger and all that was all his vision. And it was not good movie. It was not a great movie, and I will fight
Well,
you.
you got to be some
But then the
sort
person
of
who
a
came
Hollywood
in,
person, right, to write a movie.
yeah, the person who came in and did, number 2 and number 3,
Right.
Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock,
Mm-hmm.
he molded it into something that hooked everybody.
Yeah.
And then they were finally able to get Berman to come in and start Next Gen. And that's led to this renaissance of
All
Star
of the
Trek that
things
we
that
have now.
exist now. Yeah. And
But we're not talking about Star Trek specifically.
No.
But my point was those little gatherings of people got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they started inviting the actors to come and talk to them. And back at the dawn of time when I was doing conventions originally, I started doing them with my buddy Taz, brought us in
Right.
when I was 19 in college. He'd already done a year or two of it. He brought me in. So we're talking 92. Somewhere around 92 when I was 19. I did my first Toronto Trek, which I think was 12. So they'd done 12 Toronto Treks at that point.
So not to go off on a tangent, but your favorite
We
Star
love
Trek
doing
movie?
that. We love doing that.
I know.
The best Star Trek
the
movie,
amount of things that
Yes,
we've
the
come out of the
best Star
gate
Trek
on Rabbit.
movie.
but we need to narrow it down. You talk any Star Trek movie anytime,
Yeah.
Kelvin period, Kelvin
whole thing.
timeline, next gen movies, all of it.
Whole thing.
Sorry, the question was the best or my favorite?
You can go best,
Okay.
but then you can choose your favorite.
And it pains me that the
We're
two
gonna have
are
to
maybe
fight.
not the same thing.
Yeah.
I already know Marcus's answer.
Yeah. For my favorite.
Marcus is number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Journey Home is his favorite, and he's wrong.
Star Trek was.
But- He's
I'm never
terribly
wrong. What are you talking about?
I don't buy into Wrath of Khan as much as most people do about things.
That's
if
fair.
I'm going old school original, I am a Search for Spock kind of lover.
Yeah.
I feel like after that, it started teetering off quite a bit into
really big episodes.
losing vision of, they could have been episodic releases of 2 or 3 episodes together.
Yeah.
My favorites are some of the Kelvin timeline stuff, just because of the visual effects they were able to do. And I'm a big Abrams nerd as well.
Fair.
Tell me the man's done something wrong.
I mean, they were, I mean,
one of my favorite things from that is how it should have happened. You've seen that?
Yep.
They go, we're in a lot of trouble here. And could someone please turn off the lens flare generator? And they turn it off. It's like, oh my God, I can see now. That's so much better.
It was, to me, they were really well produced. It was Star Trek finally having what Star Trek needed for a movie.
Yes. Visually, it was fantastic.
And Marcus and I usually disagree on things when it comes to old versus new, because he likes to be a dinosaur and get stuck in.
I don't
would
like
would you call him a gatekeeper?
I would say we have had to correct him once or twice.
That's fair.
But as a rule, he understands the and we've had this conversation.
We have,
right? It becomes
come on in, folks. You're allowed to sit and enjoy.
Conversation too. Is gatekeeping can be such a dangerous thing in fandom,
and it's easy to do.
It's very easy to do,
right?
Because I want to go back to when the X-Men movies first came out, and minus the costumes and just when I first sat them, I mean, maybe it was recency bias or whatever, but I'm like, this was amazing. And then, I had friends who are about 10 years older than me. They're like, oh, what happened? I'm like, this, and this. And they're like, well, that's not what happens. Right. And I'm like, but that's what happened. I just watched that. They're like, but that's not what happened. This is what actually is supposed to happen. Right.
Well, the 2 big gatekeeping moments for me that I've had to catch myself, I've caught myself doing it. Shook myself a little bit and said, knock it off. One was the Kelvin timeline. We've had this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I was livid, angry, spitting fire all the way through that movie until he sat down with Spock on the ice planet. Spoilers. And
again, if you haven't by now.
Yeah, it was a joke. When he sat down with Spock and he said, I went, alternate timeline. Okay. Then I was fine. Like literally, Lori, my wife, Lori Dawn, looked at me and went, what the hell? Like, you've been just spitting nails the entire movie and now you're happy? I'm like, it's a different timeline. It's fine. But the other one, as I was going to say, was a couple years ago, we were doing the thing in the store in the window. And I walked out and these 2 teenage cheerleader girl types walked up and asked him about playing D&D. And my back brain went,
no chance.
You don't get to play D&D now. No. Like that's for the old guys who know. And then I went, well, that's just stupid. D&D's for everything. I didn't say anything out loud.
Of course.
But my hindbrain right away
angel
went.
And devil.
Meanwhile, my inner nerd is going, how am I talking to these pretty girls about these are what?
Why are
what
they
is happening right
D&D?
now?
Right?
Come on and folks, sit down if you like. We're just talking about
about fandom and enjoying life and.
You had no idea this is going on. This is pretty cool. We're actually here touring one of our hockey players. We're recruiting for next year. So
oh, very cool.
Okay.
Perfect.
Right on.
Very cool.
Coming back, they're all laughing at me. So sidetracked right now.
Right? There's lots of stuff going
That's
on
okay.
right now.
It's good to be sidetracked.
And we're going till 5, and the costume competition is at what, 4 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Yep, we'll be
here,
right back here on this stage.
Yeah, they'll get rid of us.
Yeah. No problem. So
that's the beauty of live.
that's
Right?
It's so good. I'm going to give you.
There's no borscht. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a film and try and dispute it, but Galaxy Quest.
Is best Star Trek film.
It's the best Star
It
Trek
is the
film.
best Star Trek film. Yeah.
We were going legit Star Trek. If you want to say what is the best Star Trek film ever made?
Well, that's why I said just
okay, but
whatever.
I got caught in a conventional thinking. I will tell you flat out every time that Galaxy Quest.
Well, Galaxy
Star Trek
Quest
movie
is legitimately a love letter to Star Trek.
It is.
Right?
It is.
And all the things. And it gives you such an insight into the backside of what was going on.
Yeah,
as well.
what the
And how
actors were going through,
felt
and they're
about
like,
things.
here we go again. But then it's like, without these people.
And I'll tell you right now,
Exactly.
Frakes and Spiner dragged Stewart to the movie theater to watch it. And he goes, I don't want to watch this. And they're like, you got to watch this.
Can we
And they
hear
sat
that
and they
Patrick
looked-
Stewart impression?
My
again?
Patrick Stewart is not very
I
good.
know. That's why I want to hear it again.
Eat it.
This is unique because we get the team up on you this
Yeah,
time.
I know,
Normally
it's
it's
okay.
you and
I'll-
Chris teaming up on me.
But no, they said, they looked at each other and went, why didn't we make this movie?
Right.
Like they were so
Yeah.
in love with it.
Yeah.
And he knows because I've said it 100 times, but you may not know. Do you have a copy of it?
Do we have a copy of Galaxy Quest?
You
No.
need a DVD copy.
We used to, maybe.
because you got a DVD copy of it. And I
Yep.
can't with my voice because it's totally screwed right now. But if you switch to the Thermion 3.5 audio track, the whole movie's dubbed in Thermion. Every word, the entire movie. You can't watch it for more than 2
That's
minutes.
so funny.
But I've switched at
Oh,
any
it's
point
so
in the movie.
bad.
And it's just going.
Yeah, it's going every time.
That's clever.
It's amazing.
That is
like
clever.
it's such a love letter.
And it followed such a good example from Star Trek because Star Trek has pretty universally been perfectly cast. There, with a few exceptions here or there,
Sure.
but never in major points. Galaxy Quest followed that same regime. It was so perfectly cast for who was in that, right? Tim Allen brought to the stage just his obsessiveness about being the center of attention and being able to be a little bit pompous but lovable at the same time.
Yep.
And you can see that from the rest of the guys. They're like,
Rickman was
I
amazing.
hate that. I love this guy so much.
The black guy, I can never remember his name, but he was a child actor.
Yeah.
And stuff in the 80s.
Right?
So he would literally, he knew what was going on.
And then
Sigourney
he was
Weaver?
in Ed too.
He was in Ed.
Ed
he was in 10
the
Things
bowling
I
alley
Hate About
lawyer
You.
thing.
He was in a bunch
Yeah,
at
he
that
did a
time.
ton of
He
stuff.
did a really good job in Ed too because that's a tough job being an actor who isn't in a wheelchair, being in a wheelchair. That's a tough gig.
He was in Ed
Oh yeah,
because he was also in a wheelchair in NCIS.
I think so. Now he's getting
New Orleans.
typecast.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Now
it's
he's just the wheelchair guy.
But that's a tough gig to pull off.
for sure.
But he was one of the teachers in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff he did. But he was a child actor. So they cast him perfectly. Rickman couldn't have been any better.
Yeah.
I'm never
Yeah.
mad about seeing Alan Rickman.
No.
And,
R.I.P.
and again, there's a beautiful scene in that if you get the DVD, watch the cut scenes because there's a certain point in the movie. There's two Sigourney Weaver things. There's 2 points in the movie. One where her costume is zipped up to her neck, and like 2 seconds later, it's zipped down to show
Exposed.
cleavage.
Yep.
And what happens is, her only job is to talk to the computer. So the two alien guys, she's like trying to be seductive and seduces them and steps them in. And then computer, we need some privacy. Can you close emergency door 7-3 and smashes them flat with the door? And she's like, ha, see, I'm not a good actress, and whatever, which is funny, but they had to cut it. So that's why all of a sudden it went from here to here. And there's another one where they wanted a PG rating,
Yeah.
which they shouldn't have gone for.
No, it should have been PG-13.
It was supposed to be in a movie for adults, but they wanted
Yeah.
to make it so it was kid friendly.
It's-
And there's a situation where they get to the chompers, and she's like, "To hell with this," but her mouth does not say "to hell with this" because that was originally in the script. Was just F this. I'm not going through those.
Right.
But they changed it for the rating, but didn't reshoot it, so it's just her mouth going.
Little voiceover.
Yeah, it's like yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
They gave him the proper TV edit.
yeah.
For sure.
So, but that's how the movie was shot originally.
Yeah.
And they've talked about, wanting to do it too, but with Alan gone, there's no point anymore.
No, I don't think you can do it without him. You need everybody.
Well, and I think that's a big danger in the industry too. Is while that's so popular, we should make another one. It's like, okay, time out.
Yeah, it's kind of the
Let's
perfect
step
movie,
back
leave
from
it
this
alone.
for a minute.
Yeah.
Do we want to risk ruining this thing we've created by making a second one?
Right? Like,
Right.
let's look at Wonka.
Well, that's
I
it.
think-
There's so many
What
things
was
that have
the
gone
point
down
of-
that line.
Yeah.
I think
right?
it would be exceedingly funny to do a next generation version of it.
That would
That
probably
could
fly
work,
because you
and
could
then
get
you
away with
redo it.
recasting.
Yes.
Well, they
right?
recast all the right people for it. They pull the next gen up, and turns out that Jason Nesmith went back into space and became the commander for them when he retired. And now he needs help, and he's pulled up his new crew, which is the new Enterprise.
They would have gotten
would be-
away with a short TV series if they had tried for 2 to 3
absolutely.
seasons
Yeah.
right after.
Yeah.
Because the end of the film backs into the new adventures of Galaxy Quest. They could have made that show.
They could have
And
done
people
that
would have
right off the
watched
hop. Yep.
and it would have been they would have gotten a 2-season deal, their chance to lose it. Right. And if they could do it right, it could keep going. And
Yep.
if not, then we did a thing.
What's the name of the ship?
Well,
The NTSE. Protector,
good call.
or the NSE Protector. Sorry.
Good call.
And you know what NSE stands for?
Go.
Not the Starship Enterprise. Swear to God, that's what it means. That's what it's for, to say,
NTSE.
really, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, except it's just they call it NESEA Protector.
Right.
But that's for not Starship Enterprise at all, or whatever it is.
That's
But
funny.
Yeah, it was really funny.
I actually hadn't thought of it much until this point, but the Orville looks surprisingly like the Protector,
It actually does, now that you mention
with
it.
a few obvious differences in the tail fins.
Sure.
But the nose cone of that thing is actually quite similar.
On purpose.
And I almost
probably.
wonder if that's
Probably.
on purpose,
Yeah,
right?
Probably.
I would assume so.
With-
I mean, I don't attribute much by accident to Seth MacFarlane, so
Yeah. So that's pretty.
It's pretty
That's
intense.
pretty deliberate.
right? So
Did you guys see the new Deadpool trailer? I mean, you got to talk about
I haven't
that.
seen it
You
yet.
haven't seen it yet?
Been so busy.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well,
he's
we'll
still
do this
getting on my
next time.
case about not having seen the new Ghostbusters yet, because we went like the week of opening for the last one, and we haven't been able to do the Ghostbusters podcast because I haven't had a chance to go see it yet.
Fair. Well,
So-
we have seen the new Ghostbusters.
And it is great.
It was good. It was good.
Uh-oh.
It's no.
It's good.
Well, first of all, you can't possibly follow the last one with anything
Right.
bigger, because you can't get bigger.
so
But it
That's
feels
what scares me about it. Is
No.
Ghostbusters. I'm going to use your phrase too, and I
I know.
hate myself for it. Ghostbusters has always struggled with Empire Syndrome, right? It is the second one didn't do well, and it killed the franchise the first time. So it's a dangerous thing for them to go down that road.
but I think this one, and correct me if I'm wrong for your opinion, my feeling is this was a great Ghostbusters episode.
it was great. It
But it
continued
was an
everything.
episode.
Yes.
Like the last one was the movie,
Yeah.
and it was great. This feels like another story from that universe, like a television show.
Yeah.
So
Which
why
is-
aren't we getting that thing? Let's
Oh,
do that thing.
you
Nobody
kidding
wants
me?
to make TV anymore. Jeez.
Nobody does want to make TV anymore. Me and my wife just started watching Doctor Who. We're in the first episode of the 2005. So let's see how long.
Sorry,
this-
no, nobody other than Disney wants to make TV anymore. Disney has just decided that TV.
which
Marvel
Doctor?
makes more television. Star Wars makes more television.
Well, yeah, X-Men 97 is fantastic right now.
Yeah.
I am loving it.
You're talking
Doctor
about
Who 2005
I know
is what I said.
which one? Eccleston?
Call Me
Bald guy?
Rose. Call Me Rose
Call Me
was
Rose,
the first
yeah, okay.
episode.
Yes,
yeah,
Eccleston.
Eccleston. Yeah.
Eccleston.
Yeah, yes.
Ninth?
Ninth.
Doctor? Yeah.
Ninth.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not a Whovian.
technically-
I'm not a Whovian
I'm still
either.
catching
so
up.
I
don't know
am,
what I'm
and
doing.
he's technically the ninth. But
He's giving me the
that's a whole nother
criticism
story.
too because I decided Tubi has all the
he's doing the same thing.
originals, and I went old school. And he's
I'm
like,
not
"Really?
doing
That's
that,
where you're
yeah.
buying in?" I
I
went.
thought you were buying in
I
early.
said, "If I'm going
Not
to do
that
it, I'm going to
early.
do it."
Not that early.
And it's
No.
painful sometimes
Yeah.
to watch stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm starting at the 2005.
Well, it calls into question, like, okay, around this time, a few years after, because what was it, 64 was first year Who?
Something like that. Yeah.
First series?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? So you got to think,
Yeah, 'cause it's
68 was first year Trek, 67.
67.
So
67.
arguably, could you not
Right?
say? I mean, Star Trek is the bigger name, but Doctor Who.
No, and here's the difference. Star Trek started the fan convention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doctor Who was not
Cult.
a fan thing.
Cultish.
No, it was a way of life. It was part of British life.
Would you not say
came
that's
home from
cultish?
school.
Well, remember too, though, that
You
it
came
started-
home from school and you watched Doctor Who and hid behind the couch. so the
Oh,
dog
like
couldn't get you.
Flintstones and
Exactly.
tomato soup
Exactly.
when you were sick from
Yeah.
school. That was our way of life.
Yeah.
So, like,
Price is Right.
you got to
Yes,
remember
Price is
too
Right, yeah.
that it's all perspective too, because we recognize that Star Trek is a bigger name,
Yeah.
right? And there is an international presence on
in
that,
North America.
right? But ours is the North American perspective. If you're sitting in Britain,
Yeah.
arguably who is bigger, both will find their way to the front.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a
100%.
little bit more of an even scale, because when you talk about North Americanism of television, who doesn't hit everybody in the right spot?
Okay, but here's
Right?
the other
It
part of
doesn't.
that problem. North America has a selective bubble, and things go out and not much gets back in.
Yeah.
Anime has managed to crack through. So has Doctor Who.
We are seeing more of it now than we.
It's
I
not,
would
but
say
Doctor Who
anime-
cracked in the 70s.
Anime is cracking in because of the lack of content we're putting out.
No, but anime's been on this side of the pond for 20 years now. Like they start all that stuff.
I would say
Sailor
30.
Moon,
Actually, you're
Pokemon,
talking about
right?
25,
yeah,
30 years.
Well, because
Dragon
Pokemon's
Ball.
going 28 years now.
Yeah. So
Right?
that kind of stuff's coming in, but it came
I only
in,
know a little bit about
but it came in and it got changed. It came in and it got changed. It got cut. It got re-edited.
Yes.
Storylines got cut out for North American sensibilities. And you guys are all wrong because G-Force and Grandizer was here 40 years ago. Because screw
Fine.
you.
Yeah. Should
But
I
what
bring
I'm
up
saying-
Astro Boy if you
Yes,
really
Astro
wanna-
Boy is also.
you really want to
But
say it?
Japanime has managed to. Let's see that. Look how old I am. Anime, which used to be called Japanime. Japanime was back in the 30, 40 years ago, started filtering through that net.
Right.
Doctor Who was there in the 70s.
Yep.
And it was on PBS because they bought British television,
Right.
because they needed to put something on TV, and America wasn't doing anything that they could afford.
But
So they bought British stuff and brought it over here, which is why we had all the British influence.
right. My point to that though is like just because there were sprinkles of anime, cracking through some of it, we haven't seen most of that until now. Like now it's actually like
It's got
look
a
at
culture of
manga.
its own
It's
over here.
everywhere. My Hero
Oh,
Academia is huge
Yeah, no,
right
but
now,
yeah, but
right?
they have
Demon
to-
Slayer is a big thing.
They got to
Yeah.
get through the
One
crack.
Piece.
And once the few get into the crack and normalize things, then the crack gets bigger, bigger and bigger till it busts it wide open,
Yeah.
and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And Anime North is coming on 20 years,
something like that.
something
crazy.
like 20.
It's
And
crazy
I've
that
done a
they're
whole
running
bunch of them over the years.
Yeah.
And Anime North was huge like a decade ago, 15 years ago. It's probably 25 or almost 30 now, because it takes over the international center at the airport. It's massive. It's huge. It puts Fan Expo to shame.
So let's go back to Anime North, Fan Expo versus Fancon. So what is the difference that you guys are doing here versus the San Diego Comic-Con,
Do
right?
you want to handle this, or you want me to handle that one?
Both of
It's
you.
your call. We can take turns.
Both of you.
So a lot of what we've always it's interesting to sit in our board meetings and see the differences of opinions sometimes. And Marcus and I got into a wonderful little, we'll call it a conversation, about our wrestlers this year, and old school versus new school and things like that. Without getting into the specifics of it, being that we had invited professional athletes, which in the old school world of thing is like,
Can't do that.
No.
Yeah.
And in the new school world of thing is like, what our idealism was, we're bringing people who are athletic and notable, and they're performers, so they are artisans of their craft. And these are people who are based around promoting. I said, so we're building in a
Absolutely.
marketing system too, which really
Absolutely.
works.
And if someone
Right?
is saying that wrestling does not have fandom,
Oh,
No,
it's
that
insane,
wasn't- that
right?
wasn't
But that
right.
was the
No,
back and
okay,
forth.
look, so-
but those that kind of sidetracked what we were talking about.
When Matt first started FanCon,
yes,
it was a little nerdy Comic-Con style thing that got the kids together. They hung out, they played some games, had a great day. The second year, it got a little bigger. It was about 100 people.
Yeah.
That's when I learned about it. The year after that, I started to try and influence it to run like the old school conventions.
Mhm.
Toronto Trek, Ad Astra, Prime Media. There's a bunch of little ones that happened.
And that's still at the core of what
And
we're
that's still the
doing, yeah.
core, because those conventions were fan run, fan owned,
Right.
fan appreciated. And that is what we're trying to do here, is we want people to be able to come in, learn, talk about their nerdy things they like, meet people that maybe do what they want to do for a living.
Mhm.
We definitely work on this from a learning education standpoint.
Education is the main stance that we take here. It's part of why the school is so cooperative with us, and so accommodating to us, I think is the better word, because everything that we take at the core of our passion for fandom is not just enjoying a thing, but taking your passion and making it your reality. Right. So last year's event, we were blessed to have Chris Warlow and Lara D'Souza with us. I have not seen a Fancon panel so well attended as Lars. And I was in there for all of 2 minutes because I don't get to enjoy them quite as much as everybody else does.
Right.
In my role.
You're a little bit busy.
In my 2 minutes, I got to learn something from Lara. And that's just how effective he is as a person. Right?
Lara D'Souza is a web artist and has a number of concurrent and moving web comics like Looking for Group and Least I Could Do,
Of course.
etc.
But he is so process driven in the way that he converses with people normally. And Chris is much the same way. Chris works in costumes and props, and he is one of the most talented prop. I don't care. People can fight me on it. He's one of the most talented prop masters I've ever met. He's doing things in Canadian prop mastering and things that just are different and in such a unique way that you see him work on a problem and you get excited about it. A great example, we had one of our cosplayers broke one of their things at the con last year. And she's heartbroken.
Of course.
And I said, well, she's asking me how to fix it. I'm like, I have no idea how to fix this thing. Like I'm not bad at making stuff, but, and Chris happened to be across the hallway. I said, well, let me call somebody over who knows a thing or two. Right. And so he's going, and you see him break down the problem. It was phenomenal. Right. The biggest problem we have in some of our school system with art students specifically, or people who are interested in a creative career, is the gap between doing and learning, right? Or passion and doing. I'm passionate about this thing. I would love to do it as a living, but that seems so far away.
It does. It feels
right? And how do I get there? What are I can't see the steps between that of what I need to do because they're not always clear either. Right. Yeah. Sometimes there's things that just come down to who you know or being able to talk to people. And so we want to be the bridge between that is, you know what? I met Chris Warlow at this thing, or I met Lara, or I met, so-and-so at Fancon.
And they
encouraged me and we connected, or we were able to then take a step in the right direction because they showed me a path. Right. It's hard to do the thing you want to do. Yep. And I say that 100% without irony. I do what I love for a living and it sucks a lot, but I love it every minute of it.
Well, that's it, right? Bill Maher was actually just on Friday. He does a show on Friday. I always catch a recap on YouTube, but it was talking about how doing your passion is tough. Right. And not everyone's going to be successful. And he's like, it's easy to say, follow your passion because we're up here and we did it. Yeah. But it's not just, we did it, go do it. There's a lot of grinding. There's a lot of things to go through.
Well, you have to be willing to be beaten to a pulp over it too. And that's the hard part.
And Spider Robinson once said, skills are what you get if you water your talent bush enough. Just because you have a small talent for something or passion for something doesn't mean you're going to be good at it.
Correct.
I have a great passion for drawing stick figures to do Pictionary. I'm quite successful at Pictionary, but I can't do anything better than that. And my grandmother was an artist. She tried to teach us. I just can't do it. My wife is a spectacular artist.
Right.
I can't do what she does.
Smile.
However, my talent lies in music. So I'm a very good musician. I'm very good at what I do. I practice the 10,000 hours and more to become good.
Well, and there's an art form to what you do with technical aspects
somewhat
of things
as
well.
well.
No, there's no somewhat about it. There absolutely is. There's a reason we call you every time we need something set up is because, number one, Marcus is absolutely willing to help with anything he can possibly be good at.
Yep.
And he does not reserve his talent for people he thinks deserve it.
Yep.
He will use it for anybody.
You just deserve it.
No, I've seen the amount.
You say no to me a lot,
I've heard you complain about people you do work for to a point of I know you don't think they deserve your talent.
Well,
all right, you don't reserve yourself that.
You know who you are.
All right, and there is a magic to being able to work in production behind the scenes that most people don't get to appreciate. Right. And that's a whole other thing. We got to have some fun. I pointed out to him yesterday that since we started the podcast, we're over 100 episodes now. I realize I always get to marvel at the titles that come after my name for different things because none of them are deserved. I get to be a CEO because my store is incorporated.
Right.
I am the executive director of Fancon, which is hilarious.
That's amazing.
Right. All of these different things that come after my name. I got to be a published writer this year. Because of Fancon, I did the article in the paper.
Sure.
It's the first thing I've ever had published in print. So I put that in my archive. And Marcus and I both get to now enjoy an executive producer credit because we produce a podcast.
So cool.
That's hilarious.
And why not, right? And when you're in it, you don't feel it, right? And you look at these other, you hear names, director like Spielberg and stuff like that. It's probably the same way of when he's doing his craft and passion, right? He's like, when you step back and you actually look at what you've created, like 100 episodes of your podcast, go down the halls. And
which is funny because I can't listen to
today.
our podcast either.
It's hard.
Listening to myself.
Not me listening to your podcast,
yeah,
but going back to
yourself,
our
right?
stuff. Yeah, it's hard, right?
I have such an issue with my recorded voice, which I continue to record my voice for some reason.
I'm the same way.
Right?
I'm the same
way. And now
way.
you've got me on a camera and everything. This
That's
is a whole weird thing. I'm used to being behind the scenes.
Well, let me pull it back to Fancon. We're talking because we've gone on a very enjoyable for me,
right? Little up and down and around.
The point behind Fancon that we took it in the direction of fandom is for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's where the gatekeeping thing is the problem because we want Fancon to be something for everybody. And we don't want the business model of please give me $50 for the privilege of spending money in my dealer's room.
I want to be a fandom Costco,
Yeah. Well, right. We will be signing autographs after this for $20 an autograph, right? We want to. No, sorry, we're not doing that here. That's not in San Diego. This is Fancon. Sorry.
But now, if you're listening online, you can send donations to the Patreon, and
yes,
we might ship you something. We probably won't, but we might.
We might. Yeah, don't know. Roll that dice.
And you don't know what it is.
What's in the box?
So, but we really don't like
dog needs to go
the selling. We don't like the selling of autographs. We think it's a little gauche.
Right.
I come from a time where you lined up and you bought their 8x10 and they would sign it as part of their contract for them coming out where they sat for 2 hours at the dealer's table or at the table and send autographs in the autograph line.
Well, we took our stand against that this year too.
We
turned autograph signing into a game. So you can actually go to each of our to a bunch of our guests who have trading cards made up.
I don't know if you can see this right now.
Right? Did we get one for you?
Yeah. Oh, not for me, but
no. Okay.
No.
All right. So some of our guests who are here in personality or for whatever reason, we had a bunch of cosplayers and wrestlers and things like that. They've all been given these trading cards to hand out, and they're Fancon trading cards. And so you can go around and collect them all. And if you collect them all, you can actually take them to the Riddler, I think. And to Lori, and Lori will give you a special limited edition Flick the Frog.
Limited edition Flick the Frog.
All right. Flick is our Fancon mascot that was graciously designed by Marla Irwin, who is one of our student artists from GFest. She entered our mascot design contest last year, and we decided that Flick is who we're going with. He is officially set in stone as the Fancon mascot.
He's going to get costumed every year.
Perfect.
This year he's Deadpool costume, as you can see on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took back autograph signing because one of the things that I think it was Christian Potenza told us the first year he came here, that he really enjoyed not having to sit at a table and sign his name for money all day.
Yeah.
Number one, because in his position, voice actors at the time too didn't really have notoriety for their face. That's a little bit different now.
It's not entirely true.
Right?
They were still at Anime North and all day, but just sitting there and signing your name all day, as he has said, is soul sucking.
It's soul sucking.
It's
So
soul-sucking.
I was at a Magic the Gathering tournament years ago, and I ended up just not showing up for the tournament anymore because it was attached to it might have been Fan Expo, and Virgil and the $1 Million Man was there, and so was Dustin Diamond. And I ended up talking with the $1 Million Ted DiBiase and Virgil for hence why I didn't show up for the Magic the Gathering, right? Because I just ended up talking with him, right? And I spent the $20 to get his 8.5 by 11, and he signed it, and but then I look over at Dustin Diamond, and he's literally begging for people to come and sign his name, and so he could sell his autograph, and it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
The level of them, prostituting themselves out like that, right? There's no other way to put it.
So when I asked Christian to come, Christian pretends I'm not this Christian.
Not yet.
When I asked
We
Christian
mixed that
to
up
come
a
as
few
a
times.
guest, he goes, "Oh, I don't really." I said, "No, I want you to come and promote your voiceover school." And he's like,
And he brought his whole recording.
he brought a
rig with him
recording
and
studio. We
everything.
had
Oh,
the kids do some
phenomenal.
testing,
Phenomenal.
and we're going to try and get him
We're
back
gonna try and get him back next
in the
year.
next year or the year after. He's been very busy, but
But that's cool.
we want them to come in and talk about voice acting,
Yeah.
not, "Oh my God, you were Chris from Total Drama Island. I love
Yes, it's not like
It-
Tara
they-
Strong coming on to
and he
where
had-
she's got some
yeah.
celebrityism, or Jim Cummings or
you." Well,
something like that.
Christian Pretends is pretty well known.
Well, of
and-
course, but
And I'm going
they
to try and
do
rattle
the-
some other cages for that, but it's like he had things to sign.
right.
And I think he said, put a donation in for this
Yeah.
charity. He didn't sat there. He ran around all day having a great time.
yeah.
He got up here. We did voiceover testing. I want you to do like this. I want you to do like that.
That's so cool.
And everybody had a grand time.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I love this convention. I won't do any others."
Well, and I've seen backstage footage of like someone like John Cena who has to sign 4,000 in 3 hours, and it's just him signing, and there's another person taking him away, and it's sign, sign. And it's like, my
But
goodness.
that's what happens when business precedes passion,
right.
right? So one of the things that I'm very careful of, and I'll put this shameless self-promotion, the Frugal Dutchman has sponsored Fancon from year 2.
Yeah.
Not because I think there's a big amount of money for me to be making here. I probably, if I were to actually run the numbers, I probably lose money on Fancon.
Of course.
But I'm okay with that, because what we gain in returns out of people's passion is so worth whatever little cost I'm going to incur out of it.
Mhm.
And that's why I can give my time and my effort and my money to do something. And it needs to be understood that you don't have to, you said it probably the best, is you don't have to prostitute yourself out that way
Right.
in order to connect with fandom.
Yeah.
Right. It's part of the reason that we're committed to keeping the gate free.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason that we are committed to community sponsors in action with us, not just throwing money at us and saying, "Here, go do what you want." No, we want our sponsors to be enacted in what we're doing here, and be excited about what we're doing and the passion of what comes out of Fancon. We're here for accessibility. We want people to be able to not get shut down by their wallets.
Yeah.
I have such a hard time as both a vendor and going as a patron to major conventions, because as a vendor, it costs a lot of money to vend at these.
That's it.
Like
Yeah.
a ridiculous amount, like starting to verge on small rental space
Sure.
for a month,
Yep.
amounts of money. And to know that the people putting on that event are taking $50 out of everybody's pocket who's coming in,
Right at the door.
as well as taking
Yes.
my money.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And
well,
then-
hold on, you're playing both sides of this coin now.
100% they are. And then it's like, well, we have to pay for the celebrities. Whoa. I'm paying $50 to meet the celebrity on top of that. It's
Yeah.
like,
So don't give me that line. Like
It's like the old system of an
Right.
amusement park where you pay to get in,
Yeah.
and then you have to pay per ride to
Yeah.
get on.
Yeah.
which never made sense.
Doesn't
right?
make sense.
It's-
One fee.
Like I said, it's fandom
most.
Costco, right?
Yeah.
Your fandom Costco metric of we're going to charge you a membership fee to get
Yep.
through the door, and then you're going to pay for everything you do while you're here.
And sadly,
Um,
that's the way all conventions have
Oh,
gone.
it's such a
Well, 'cause it's
blueprint
big
for how to
money.
do it.
But like I
right?
said, back in the day, you paid your membership fee that covered bringing in guests, that covered everything. And there was panels for you to go to till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
There was things that you could do here, there, and everywhere. And huge costume competitions, which were a lot of fun. They have devolved into mostly anime now because most of the younger people who are going to those things are huge anime fans. The older people are kind of getting pushed out because
Well, I think it's not even the North American stories are not living up to what they used to.
I'm strictly talking about costuming.
Fair.
And
But
so that's what the kids are into.
Yeah.
And that's great. But if you have younger judges
Yeah.
and you get 5 anime kids and one person who came as the diva from Fifth Element,
right.
and they're like, well, who's the
Who's
blue
that?
alien lady? We don't know who that is, but
Who's
they're Yosuku Cool from whatever. Like that's an amazing costume. And the older people are like, holy crap, you made the diva. That looks amazing.
Right.
And they don't win anything because nobody knows who the character is because they're all too young. That is a problem between old and young nerds.
There's an
That's just
interesting
an-
topic: is the nerdy generation gap.
And that is
That
one-
might be a different episode.
write that. We should write
I
that
should
down.
write that down.
Absolutely.
I was showing you about this earlier.
Yeah. I'm like,
my-
oh,
we
what's
need to
this?
write
He's
this
like,
down.
oh my God.
Every
So-
time
It looks like a
Christian and I-
Kindle, but it's like an
Oh
electronic. pen.
I'm not going to say it out loud. 'cause
Every
that's-
time
we're
Christian-
not getting paid for that advertising.
Oh, that's fair.
every
Yeah.
time
It
Christian
looks
and
like
I are
something.
talking
It's
throughout the podcasts, and he says something, and I'm like, ooh, that's another episode. Write
Yeah,
that down. Write that down. And so we have a going list of topics of things that have just come up in our discussions. But anyways, we're getting close to where we have to wrap up now.
We
just
do
due to
because
scheduling.
somebody else needs the stage.
Somebody else needs a stage.
And oh no, I have a little bit of time before I'm running Ultimate Werewolf
yeah,
in room 3, I believe it is, if I remember my schedule properly.
and obviously we've talked to you about doing some stuff together. I think we'll have to make sure 100% Ridgefest is coming up, and I think we'll have to bring you in the window with us.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Ridgefest.
that would be a
awesome.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
I am definitely
It's
down
a
to
tight
do
window
that.
though, so it'll be cozy.
Well, go to the other window. It's bigger. The game room window's bigger.
Well, that was the idea.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
well,
we were pretty.
Thank you,
cozy
everybody,
here.
for joining us.
Thanks for watching.
Online. Thanks for watching. We've got Christian and I at the Counter podcast. You can get it anywhere you can get podcasts. If you look for 2 guys that look like Simpsons characters, that's the At the Counter you're looking for. And Jordan.
And I'm Human Ramp, normally joined with Camera Chris Margus for Talk Nerdy to Me. We will see you coming up shortly. And guys, thanks for having us here. And
Pleasure.
thanks for
It's great.
joining
Yeah,
me.
no, it's
I
great.
appreciate that. Thank you. Cheers.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Okay, now we're going to do the intro because we didn't do the intro.
Oh, got
So
it.
we're just going to,
Oh,
and
no.
I'll edit it later.
Got it.
So we're going to do a quick intro because it didn't record properly, just so we can tie into what we're doing.
Oh, you wanted me to do
You're-
start the intro?
It's your.
I thought you were doing your at
it's
the
yours.
counter intro.
No, it's yours.
No, but we were live.
Yeah,
and
we
we
still
don't
gotta
do
start.
take twos.
We have to do
Okay,
take
hi,
two.
welcome everybody. We are doing this for the first time. And we are at
Absolutely.
FanCon 2024. Woo! Really?
You are
Buddy?
Talk.
I am the Human Ramp for Talk Nerdy to Me, and I can't believe we're doing this at the 55th minute of the first time recording this. Welcome. Thank you for joining me, Marcus.
And this is
Mary.
Christian,
This is Christian.
and we are from the At the Counter.
At the counter.
At
This
the
is why we
Counter
don't do
podcast.
take
At the
That's
counter.
why we don't
See,
take
this is
two.
exactly what I'm
But
talking about.
you know, when it
Now
doesn't
we're in our
record, it
head.
doesn't record.
All that material I usually have to give to him for
Yeah.
a second take. It's like I had a good line, but I can't do it again.
We are the At the now I can't stop.
Right?
Christian and I do the At the Counter podcast, available where all podcasts are available. We're joining with Jordan or the Human Ramp here for Talk Nerdy to Me and the extra special Fancon edition.
2024.
Fancon 2024.
So how many years you guys been doing this?
I think we're in our 6th year now. I had said we were in our 7th. I was set on that, but somebody corrected me. So
Amazing.
It started off as the brainchild of the librarian here at Greater Fort Erie Secondary, Matt, and he had about 10 kids the first year.
Yeah.
And then the second year we had about 100, and we've been growing steadily ever since. We had a downtime, lost a little ground with COVID, but we're back. It's our second year back.
by demand, we're back.
Yeah, people were asking us when
all
we were
through
starting
COVID.
again.
We were getting, as soon as things
Are
were
we
allowed
doing
to
this?
open
Is it
again, it's
coming
like,
back?
so
Yeah.
what's this FanCon thing coming back? And we haven't talked about it, but okay.
Because COVID shut down
Yeah,
many things and to see that you guys have overcome,
Right.
you know, that actual shutdown and lack of interest. Not lack of interest, that's not the right word, but people's interest changed throughout COVID, right?
Right.
Because when you're shut down for that long,
Well,
you gotta
and
stay
desire
busy
for social interaction changed in how you enact that. And
did.
so
It
it
really
changes a lot about the way conventions had to be run. Right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
the fact that we had so much interest that we couldn't not come back was so encouraging.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we've been having a great time. FanCon is a free community event, fan convention with all kinds of fandom, from anime to wrestling to science fiction. The 501st is here this year for the first time,
So cool.
which is fantastic. We've got an R2 unit running up and down the
It's an
hallways.
R4 actually, or R5. Sorry,
It's not an R5.
it's an R5.
It's not an R5. It's the wrong head.
R5.
It's not an
No,
R5
an R4 has
good-
a flat head. Anyways,
and-
we have an astromech.
Today I was thinking about talking about gatekeeping, but now I just want to actually talk about fandom in general.
well, we can definitely do that.
Yeah. You want to talk about Star Trek?
No, now we got it. 'Cause we got
I know. Did you see what I was doing? I was going right down the hole.
He's gonna
Right
go
down.
back.
I was going right down the end. All right.
Take 2.
That was fun, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you,
Ciao
bye.
for now.